What's something you learned embarrassingly late in life? 1. It took me 18 years to realize shampoo goes before conditioner. I always wondered why my hair felt silky smooth before I used the shampoo. 2. I'm from Mississippi, and until I was 18, I thought that everyone else in the country counted with their own state. Instead of 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, they would count 1 Nevada, 2 Nevada, or 1 Maryland, 2 Maryland, etc. 3. When I was a teenager, I posted a status online that said I was jacking off. I thought that meant you were just bored and wasting time, until my older sister messaged me, horrified. 4. I was like 22, working at a restaurant making myself a salad, and I asked the chef for bumps and he stared at me for like 60 solid seconds trying to figure out what I wanted. I explained to him I wanted bumps for my salad. I have all the rest of the toppings but now needed bumps? Guys, my family told me croutons were called bumps my entire life. I called my dad that night and confirmed that bumps are indeed actually called croutons. Edit. First of all, thank you for the awards. Secondly, people keep asking, why did my family call them bumps? Well, someone in my family had a speech problem as a kid, couldn't say croutons, and they became bumps. We had other funny names for stuff, but I knew what the real words were. I just never got around to learning croutons, I guess. 5. That a prostitute doesn't actually sell a piece of their body. Backstory: my mom and I were watching the scene from Titanic where Jack tells Rose that he painted a one-legged prostitute. I asked my mom what a prostitute was and she told me, it's someone who sells their body for money. I could not fathom why someone would sell their leg for like $30. 6. My sister was in her 50s when she found out of the meaning of, you have an addictive personality. She thought after all these years of therapy that it meant that people were addicted to her personality. We laugh hysterically when we talk about this, in a very sad way. 7. I learned that pork and beans are not called cowboy beans. I was 18 and asked a grocery store clerk to help me find the cowboy beans. We were looking everywhere, and I was getting frustrated because I know that every store carries these beans. After a while I pick up a pork and beans can with a picture and say, see, it looks just like this. He says, you mean pork and beans? Then I realized that my mom called them that so that I would eat them. The look of disappointment from that grocery store clerk haunts me to this day. 8. That you don't have to stand in the shower while the water warms up? A previous thread like this years ago someone said they didn't know you were supposed to move the towel to dry off. Since on TV they just wrap it around them and walk around. They didn't like taking showers because it took almost an hour to dry after. 9. I thought that horses had toes until I was 22. I thought the hoof was a horseshoe and the toes were tucked inside. How did I learn how wrong I was? You ask. I was walking past a cavalry museum and saw a horse statue and loudly remarked it must hurt so bad when they fold a horse's toes to put them into the shoe. Dozens of horse enthusiasts turned and looked at me with wild bewilderment in their eyes. 10. You don't have to rip the plastic top off of your new deodorant with your teeth or pliers or anything. You can just turn the base until it comes up enough to just take it off. Oh my god. I should return this master's degree to the university. 11. When I was in college, 22 years old, I was getting ready to go out and it hit me like a lightning bolt. If you just thread the small end of the belt through your belt loops all the way around, literally any belt can fit your pants. Because up until then, I thought sometimes I just had belt loops that were too small for certain belt buckles. I ran out to my friends and was like, guys, check this out, as I proceeded to demonstrate for them what I had just learned. I genuinely thought they'd be excited for me. It was then I learned that everyone else on Earth knew the right way to wear a belt except my dumbass. Unbelievable how many times up until then I spent trying to jam the buckle side in first and coming to the conclusion I just needed bigger belt loops. 12. I thought that prima donna was prima donna, and that it meant everything before the singer Madonna, and just assumed she was some kind of universal queen. 13. Things aren't supposed to start to get blurry at about 15 to 20 feet. Learned I needed glasses at like 26 from one of these threads. Yes, people, you are supposed to be able to see individual leaves on trees. Hope someone else can be helped like I was. 14. That the porta potty doesn't somehow know when someone's inside. That the sign only changes to occupied when you physically lock the door. Many people walked in on me during my childhood. Edit. I was dragged to many outdoor craft fairs and whatnot as a child, so I had to use them more often than most other children. 15. My BF makes fun of me to no end for this one. When I was a kid, I had a Goofy movie on VHS tape, and at the end it had a Disney remix of Mambo No. 5. Guys, my parent owned a Buick from the 70s that had an old tape deck and a non-working radio, so we listened to cassette tapes, and I almost never heard top 40 or modern pop music as a kid, and I thought that was the real version of that song until I was 25. I had no idea that it was about a dude banging a bunch of chicks until I heard it in a grocery store, and I was fucking scandalized. 16. When I was 10, I thought the word masturbate meant contemplate, so I told my math teacher that I needed more time to masturbate my math problem. Also, when I was 15, I learned that a woman's eggs were not the same size as chicken eggs. I thought periods were so bloody because the chicken-sized egg was stretching them out. 17. I didn't know I was circumcised until I was 15 or 16. I was arguing with a girl online. I thought the head was the foreskin, and that circumcision cut the actual head of the penis off. On the flip side, I didn't know I was uncircumcised until the same age. I always wondered why all the dick drawings looked a little different than mine. My parents also didn't teach me how to maintain myself, so that wasn't fun learning either. Edit. How wonderful. One of my top comments is about my uncircumcised dick. I expect nothing less from Reddit. 18. While watching Game of Thrones, I asked my husband when dragons went extinct. He had to pause the show for that one. 19. A few months ago, two of my colleagues both handed in their notice at around the same time. I kept reading, hearing the sentence, "They're both moving on to pastures new," being thrown about the office in the weeks leading up to them leaving. I hadn't heard this phrase before and thought that was the name of the rival company that they were going to. I thought it was weird that nobody was talking about how they were both leaving for the same company. I was in the car with one of the ones who was leaving and said, "So where is that you and X are going to be working?" "Is it?" And just before I could embarrass myself and say pastures new, they interrupted me and said they're not going to the same place and asked me where I had heard that. I think at that moment I realized I was stupid and didn't mention it again. 20. I suspected it was the same with lots of people, but I found out it wasn't guerrilla warfare, but guerrilla warfare maybe in my 20s. The disappointments of growing up. They just keep coming. I'll take it a step further. I thought it was racist because I always heard about the guerrilla fighters in Africa. I was just like, dude, they're soldiers. You can keep that shit to yourself. 21. I was 19 when I learned that women have to give birth, or at least be pregnant, to have breast milk. I'd always thought it's available at all times. I was a very sheltered kid. Don't judge me. This reminds me of a thread on Nida, I think, where a girl was looking for advice because her boyfriend was upset she wasn't producing breast milk when they had sex, and he thought it meant she wasn't attracted to him. They were in their early 20s, as I recall. 22. Second comment, because apparently I'm stupid. When I was getting my license on my 16th birthday, the lady at the DMV asked me if I wanted to register as an organ donor. My mom said yes, and I was horrified. I thought, until 16 years of age, that being an organ donor meant that, if someone needed your organ, they would contact you to come in and they would kill you. Oh God, I have a hilarious one. When my son was 6 or so, I took a call, was polite and non-committal, and got off the phone. I told my husband it was the Breast Cancer Foundation and asked if we should make a donation. My wide-eyed son said, "You would donate your breasts." 23. Not me, but it's hilariously stupid, so I have to share. My sister is one of the smartest people I have ever known. Like, never gotten a B in her entire school life. She's now a doctor of physical therapy who runs her own clinic. This woman at 31 years old called the family one day and says, "Did you guys know it's called fall because leaves fall off the tree?" This woman can tell you the name of every muscle in your body, and this is what she comes up with, lol. 24. Mommy wasn't a hoe cheating on daddy. Daddy was dressed up as Santa. I was almost out of my 20s when I realized this about the song I saw mommy kissing, Santa Claus. Made the mistake of telling that to a bunch of 4th graders. One of them asked why mommy was kissing Santa Claus in my classroom. Told them that daddy was dressed as Santa, and later on that week, I was called by a very upset parent. The student didn't assume it was just for the song and figured out Santa isn't real. I was 22 and it was my first year teaching. 25. How to masturbate and finish. At 15, I got hard but never knew it could go further, and didn't know how despite knowing what sex, coming and jerking off was. I didn't know what made a person come. I knew touch was arousing, but I didn't know how that led to the end result. Then I tried that motion with speed in the shower, and was like, oh, so it's that he's Now I'm sharing this disgusting story to y'all. The first time I came, I thought I broke my dick and pus was shooting out. I was so concerned that I saved it and showed my dad. Yeah. Holy shit. Shut it all down. You win. This is horrifying. What did he say? I'm a grown woman and even am sat here cringing in secondhand embarrassment for you. Fucking hell, dude. How old were you? I was about 12. He was, as expected, really weirded out and was like, yeah, just flush it down the toilet. I don't think pus is shooting out of your penis. 26. Women's garments have different button arrangements than men's. I bought this wonderful coat flannel on sale one year when I was working in Alaska over winter. I figured it was on sale because the buttons were opposite, and there was just some manufacturing error. I'm an engineer, so it's just what I assumed. Nope. Wore it home for Christmas and my mom instantly asked, why are you wearing a women's coat? It was a joke the whole week I was visiting family. Do I still wear that coat? Absolutely.